The night was quiet in the mountains near the border. Lieutenant Ji-hoon stood at his post, watching the dark forest below. He had been doing this job for 2 years now. And nothing exciting ever happened. Just trees, wind, and the occasional deer. He yawned and checked his watch. 3 more hours until his shift ended. Then the sky exploded with purple light. Ji-hoon grabbed his binoculars and looked up. Something was falling. It wasn't a meteor. It wasn't a plane. The object was massive, trailing fire and strange violet sparks. It screamed through the air like a dying animal. He watched it crash into the valley about 5 kilometers away. The impact shook the ground beneath his feet. "Report to base," Ji-hoon shouted into his radio. "Unknown object crashed in Sector 7. Requesting immediate backup." Within minutes, Ji-hoon was in a jeep with 5 other soldiers, racing toward the crash site. Nobody spoke. They all thought the same thing. Was it a missile? A drone? From the north? Everyone was nervous. When they arrived, Ji-hoon couldn't believe his eyes. The crashed object was a ship. Not any ship he recognized. It was made of strange, dark metal that seemed to shift colors in the moonlight. Parts of it were still glowing hot. Pieces of the hull had broken off and scattered across the forest floor. "Stay alert," Ji-hoon ordered his men. They moved forward carefully, weapons ready. Then they heard sounds from inside the ship. Clicking. Strange whistling noises. Something was alive in there. A section of the hull suddenly opened with a hiss of steam. Ji-hoon raised his rifle. His heart pounded in his chest. What came out was not human. The creature stood on 4 legs. It had 4 arms. Its body was covered in smooth plates that looked like dark crystal. Its head had 2 large eyes that glowed with a soft blue light. It was carrying something. No, someone. Another creature like itself, but smaller and bleeding a silver liquid. The creature saw the soldiers and froze. For a moment, nobody moved. Then the creature made a sound. It wasn't aggressive. It sounded afraid. It sounded like crying. Ji-hoon lowered his rifle slightly. "Hold fire," he said quietly. More creatures emerged from the ship. 10, 20, 30. All of them looked injured or scared. Some were carrying small ones. Children, Ji-hoon realized. These were families. One of the creatures, older-looking with pale white plates, stepped forward. It reached to a device on its arm and touched it. A voice came out, speaking broken Korean. "Please, no hurt. We are refugees. Ship broken. We did not mean to come here." Ji-hoon stared. Refugees. Alien refugees. Before anyone could respond, more vehicles arrived. A civilian car among them. A woman jumped out. She had equipment with her. Scientific equipment. Ji-hoon recognized her. Dr. Mireille, the astrophysicist who had been visiting the area for research. "Don't shoot them," Mireille said, running forward. "I saw the crash. I tracked their descent pattern. This wasn't an invasion. Their ship was failing." She approached the aliens carefully. Her hands up to show she meant no harm. The old alien watched her. She pointed to herself. "Human. Friend. Friend." The alien touched its translator again. "I am Vorin. We are Kalmesh. We run from war. Ship damaged. Navigation failed. We crash here. Not planned. Please help." Mireille turned to Ji-hoon. "Lieutenant, they're telling the truth. I saw their trajectory. They were trying to jump past this solar system, but their engine failed. They crashed here by accident." Ji-hoon looked at the aliens. At the injured. At the small ones clinging to their parents. He thought about what he should do. Protocol said to contain and report. But these weren't invaders. They were refugees who made a terrible mistake. He made his decision. "Get medical supplies," Ji-hoon ordered. "Treat the injured. Set up a perimeter. Nobody shoots unless I give the order." His soldiers hesitated for a moment, then moved. They brought out medical kits. The aliens seemed surprised but grateful. One of them, younger with bright green crystal plates, approached Ji-hoon. She touched her translator. I am Nira. I was pilot. I tried to fix navigation. Failed. I am sorry. This is my fault. It's nobody's fault, Ji-hoon said. Accidents happen. Over the next hour, more military vehicles arrived. Officers came. Ji-hoon reported everything. The aliens stayed calm, but clearly afraid. Elder Vorin spoke with them through the translator, explaining their situation over and over. Mireille worked with Nira to access the ship's data. She connected her laptop to their systems. Even damaged, the alien technology was incredible. She showed Ji-hoon the navigation logs. It confirmed their story: jump drive failure, crash landing, pure accident. But then Mireille found something else in the data. Her face went pale. Ji-hoon, she said quietly. We have a problem. She showed him the screen. There were signals. Long-range tracking signals. Coming from outside the solar system. Coming closer. What is that? Ji-hoon asked. Nira looked at the screen. Her body language changed. She looked terrified. She spoke quickly to Vorin. The old alien's eyes dimmed with fear. Vorin touched his translator. The Dreth. They followed us. They always follow. Who are the Dreth? Ji-hoon demanded. The ones we run from. They destroy our world. They chase us across space. They want us back. As slaves. As property. Mireille checked her equipment. Those signals are moving fast. Ships. Multiple ships. They'll be here soon. Maybe days. Maybe hours. Ji-hoon felt his stomach drop. This wasn't just a crashed ship anymore. This was a situation that could affect the entire planet. He grabbed his radio. This is Lieutenant Ji-hoon. I need to speak with command immediately. Priority Alpha. We have an emergency situation. As he made the call, he looked at the Kalmesh refugees. At the children. At the injured. At Elder Vorin, standing with dignity, despite his fear. These people had lost everything. They came here by accident. And now their hunters were coming to Earth. Ji-hoon didn't know what his superiors would decide. He didn't know if Earth could handle what was coming. But he knew one thing. He couldn't just hand these refugees over. Not to slavers. Not to anyone. We'll figure this out, he told Vorin. I promise. The old alien looked at him with those glowing blue eyes. Why help us? We bring danger to your world. Quote, Ji-hoon thought about that. Because it's the right thing to do. Above them, the stars looked different now. Less peaceful. More threatening. Somewhere up there, something was coming. Something dangerous. And Earth had just become involved in an alien war. All because of one crashed ship and one choice to help. The military base was chaos. Ji-hoon hadn't slept in 20 hours. The Kalmesh refugees were now inside a secure facility, being treated by doctors who were still trying to understand alien biology. Above him, helicopters came and went constantly. Generals arrived. Scientists arrived. Politicians arrived. Everyone wanted answers. Major Heejin called Ji-hoon into her office. She looked tired too. She had dark circles under her eyes. Lieutenant, tell me again. Everything, Ji-hoon explained for the 10th time. The crash. The refugees. The approaching ships. Heijin listened. Her face getting more serious with each detail. The tracking signals are confirmed, she said. Multiple objects entering our solar system. 12 ships. All larger than anything we've ever built. She paused. The world is panicking. Ji-hoon, what will we do? He asked. That's being decided above my pay grade. The UN is meeting right now. Emergency session. Across the world, in New York, Ambassador Taewon stood in front of the United Nations Assembly. Every nation was represented. Every screen showed the same images. The crashed alien ship, the Kalmesh refugees, the tracking data showing incoming warships. Ladies and gentlemen, Taiwan began. We face an unprecedented situation. 37 alien refugees have crashed on our planet by accident. Now, their pursuers are coming. We have analyzed the data. These pursuers, the Dreth Imperium, are coming to reclaim what they consider their property. Slaves. Slaves. Murmurs filled the room. Some nations wanted to hand over the refugees immediately. We cannot risk war with an alien empire, the Russian delegate said. Give them what they want. And show them we're cowards? The Japanese delegate countered. Show them Earth will bow to any threat? Taiwan raised his hand for silence. We have a choice to make. We can surrender refugees to slavers, or we can stand by our principles. Every nation here has signed agreements about refugees, about basic rights, about protecting the innocent. Do those principles only apply to humans? These aren't humans, someone shouted. No. Taiwan agreed. They're not. They're something better. They're a test of who we really are. I say we don't abandon refugees. Not human ones. Not alien ones. That's what makes us civilized. The vote was called. It was close. Many nations abstained. But enough voted yes. Korea, Japan, the United States, the European Union, and a dozen others agreed. They would protect the Kalmesh refugees. Then we are at war, the Russian delegate said quietly. Back at the base, Ji-hoon received the news. They were preparing to defend the refugees. He felt pride and terror at the same time. How could they fight technology centuries ahead of their own? He went to see the refugees. They were in an underground bunker now, reinforced concrete and steel. Elder Vorin was there, trying to keep everyone calm. The children looked scared. One of them clung to Vorin's leg. Elder Vorin, Ji-hoon said, we're going to protect you. Earth has decided. Vorin's eyes brightened with surprise. Your world chooses war for us? We are strangers. You're refugees. That's enough. Nira, the young pilot, approached with Dr. Mireille. They had been working together constantly. Despite the language barrier and species difference, they had become friends. Nira touched her translator. I show Mireille our data on Dreth ships. Very powerful. Your weapons will not work well. We have to try, Ji-hoon said. Mira pulled up displays on her tablet. The Dreth use energy shields. Plasma weapons. Their smallest ship has more firepower than our largest battleship. But Nira found something. A weakness. Nira pointed to the diagrams. Dreth shields strong against energy. Weaker against solid objects. Kinetic force. Your missiles might work if they are fast enough. That's something, Ji-hoon said. It wasn't much, but it was something. Major Hajian entered the bunker. Lieutenant, I need you topside. We're setting up defensive positions. Every military unit in the region is being mobilized. Ji-hoon followed her out. The base had transformed. Tanks were being positioned. Anti-aircraft batteries set up. Soldiers dug trenches. Commander Yuna was there too, the Air Force pilot who would coordinate aerial defense. She looked young, but confident. We've scrambled every fighter we have, Yuna said. Japan and the US are sending support. We'll have 100 aircraft ready when they arrive. Against 12 warships, Hajian said quietly. Better than nothing. Ji-hoon spent the next days preparing. His unit was reinforced with international troops. Americans, Japanese, Europeans, all volunteers, all people who believed in protecting the refugees. He met Private Sora, a young soldier barely 20 years old. Why did you volunteer? Ji-hoon asked her. Sora shrugged. I saw the pictures of the alien children. They looked scared. I have a little brother. I thought about him being hunted. I couldn't stand by. That night, Ji-hoon returned to the bunker. He found some Kalmesh children drawing on paper the soldiers had given them. They drew pictures of their home world. Beautiful cities. Crystal forests. Then, pictures of fire and destruction. The Dreth invasion. One child showed Jihoon a picture. It was crude but clear. Kalmesh and humans standing together, holding hands. Jihoon felt something tight in his chest. These were just families, just people trying to survive. They didn't deserve this. Elder Vorin sat down next to him. Lieutenant Jihoon, why does your world do this? You gain nothing. You risk everything. Jihoon thought about how to answer. Because we're human. We protect those who can't protect themselves. It's what we do. It's who we are. The Dreth will not understand this. Then we'll teach them. Dr. Mireille rushed in, her face urgent. They're here. The Dreth fleet just passed Jupiter. They'll reach Earth in hours. Everyone moved at once. Soldiers ran to positions. Aircraft launched. Ships put to sea. The entire planet held its breath. The Dreth broadcast a message. It was translated automatically. A cold, mechanical voice filled every radio and television on Earth. Human civilization. You harbor Kalmesh property. Return them immediately. Refuse, and your world will burn. You have 1 hour to comply. In the UN, Ambassador Taewan stood again. The world watched. He spoke clearly. Every word measured. To the Dreth Imperium. These are not property. They are refugees under Earth's protection. We do not negotiate with slavers. We do not bow to threats. Turn back, or face humanity. The hour passed. No response from Earth, except defiance. The Dreth fleet moved into Earth's orbit, 12 massive warships, each 1 kilometers long. They looked like weapons themselves, all sharp angles and dark metal. Commander Yuna watched them on radar. Her hands shook slightly. All units, this is command. Prepare for engagement. Jihoon stood with his soldiers at the bunker perimeter. He checked his rifle. It felt so small now, so useless. But it was what he had. Private Sora stood next to him. Sir, are we going to die? Maybe, Jihoon said honestly. But we're going to fight first. We're going to fight hard. Inside the bunker, the Kalmesh held each other. Some prayed to gods the humans didn't know. Elder Vorin stood at the entrance, refusing to hide deeper inside. If humans fight for us, he said, then Kalmesh stand with humans. The Dreth ships began launching smaller craft. Dozens of them. Scout ships and troop carriers. They descended through the atmosphere like falling stars. Here they come, Hajin said over the radio. Jihoon gripped his rifle tighter. Around the world, millions of soldiers did the same. Pilots climbed into fighters. Sailors manned battle stations. Regular people watched the sky with fear and determination. Earth was about to fight its first war against aliens. Not for conquest, not for glory. For 37 refugees who crashed here by accident. Hold the line, Jihoon said to his unit. For them. For us. For everyone. The first Dreth scout ships entered firing range. The sky filled with fire. Commander Yuna pulled her fighter into a sharp turn as a Dreth scout ship streaked past. Her targeting system locked on. She fired missiles. 2 of them hit the alien craft's shields and exploded harmlessly. The third punched through and struck the hull. The scout ship spiraled down, trailing smoke. First kill confirmed, Yuna said into her radio. Around her, dozens of fighters engaged the Dreth scouts. The aliens were faster and more maneuverable, but human pilots were reckless. They flew straight at the enemy, firing everything they had. Some didn't pull away in time and crashed into the alien ships, taking them down together. Captain Minho watched from his destroyer in the Sea of Japan. His ship had been retrofitted with every weapon they could mount. Experimental railguns, missile pods, even old artillery cannons. It looked ridiculous. It was all they had. Dreth frigate approaching, his radar officer called. Range 30 kilometers. All weapons. Fire at will, Minho ordered. The destroyer unleashed everything. Missiles arced through the sky. Railgun projectiles flew at hypersonic speeds. The Dreth frigate's shields lit up with impacts. Most weapons bounced off, but the railgun rounds hit hard. Cracks appeared in the shielding. "Keep firing," Minho shouted. The frigate returned fire. A beam of superheated plasma lanced down. It missed the destroyer by meters. The water boiled and exploded into steam. The next shot wouldn't miss. "Ramming speed," Mingyu ordered. "Sir?" his executive officer said, shocked. "You heard me. Evacuate non-essential personnel. Everyone else? Hold on." The destroyer accelerated directly at the frigate. The alien ship adjusted its aim, but the destroyer was already too close. Minho's ship slammed into the frigate's underside at full speed. The impact tore both vessels apart. The destroyer exploded. The frigate crashed into the ocean. Back at the bunker, Ji-hoon watched the aerial battle through binoculars. Explosions lit up the sky. Ships fell, both human and alien. The courage he witnessed made his heart ache. Those pilots knew they were outmatched. They fought anyway. "Ground contacts," Major Hagen's voice crackled over the radio. "Dreth troop carriers landing 2 kilometers north." Ji-hoon turned to his unit. Soldiers from 6 different nations looked back at him. All of them scared. All of them ready. "This is it," Ji-hoon said. "Remember your training. Remember why we're here. Hold the line." The Dreth shock troops emerged from their carriers like nightmares. They were 3 meters tall, covered in black armor that seemed to absorb light. They carried weapons that fired bolts of energy. Each one looked like it could kill a dozen humans alone. They marched toward the bunker in formation, disciplined, confident. They had done this 1,000 times on 1,000 worlds. Ji-hoon's unit opened fire first. Bullets sparked off the Dreth armor. The aliens didn't even slow down. They raised their weapons and fired back. Energy bolts tore through sandbags and concrete. Soldiers screamed, "Fall back to secondary positions," Hagen ordered. But Private Sora didn't fall back. She saw a Dreth soldier aiming at a group of younger troops. She ran forward, threw a grenade directly at the alien's face. The explosion cracked its helmet. The alien stumbled. Sora shot it 3 times in the exposed gap. The Dreth fell. "Their armor has weak points," Sora shouted. "Aim for the joints and helmet seals." The information spread quickly. Human soldiers adjusted their tactics. They stopped trying to punch through the heavy armor. They aimed for gaps, knees, necks, eye slits. It was harder. It required precision. But it worked. Inside the bunker, tech specialist Unji worked frantically with Nira. They had stripped power cells from the crashed Kalmesh ship. Now they were attaching them to human explosives. "If we connect here," Nira said, pointing with one of her 4 hands, "the energy output increases 10 times. Unji nodded and soldered the connection. "Like supercharging a battery. Let's test one." They carried a modified explosive outside. Ji-hoon saw them and understood immediately. "Clear the blast zone," he ordered. Unji threw the device at an advancing Dreth soldier. It exploded with a blast 3 times normal size. The alien was thrown backward. Its armor shattered. "Make more," Ji-hoon said. "Make as many as you can." The battle became a meat grinder. Dreth soldiers were stronger and better equipped, but humans were creative. They used the terrain. They set traps. They fought dirty. Snipers targeted weak points from concealed positions. Soldiers lured Dreth into buildings and collapsed them. Modified explosives turned the tide, but the cost was terrible. Bodies lay everywhere, human and Dreth. The bunker's outer defenses were breached. Hagen's forces fell back to the inner perimeter. "We can't hold much longer," Hagen said to Ji-hoon. Blood ran down her face from a shrapnel wound. "We need reinforcements. They're coming. Japanese forces are 20 minutes out." "We don't have 20 minutes. Then Elder Vorin appeared, carrying a strange weapon from the crashed ship. Other adult Kalmesh followed him, armed with whatever they could salvage. "We fight too," Forin said simply. "You should stay inside," Jihun protested. "You're injured. You're old." "I am old, yes. But I am not helpless. Humans D for Kalmesh. Kalmesh will D for humans." They joined the line. The Kalmesh weapons were damaged but still functional. Energy blasts from their guns struck Dreth soldiers with precision. The aliens seemed surprised to see their former prey fighting back. Nira fought beside Dr. Mireille. The scientist wielded a rifle awkwardly, but she fired with determination. When a Dreth soldier charged them, Nira tackled it, all four arms wrestling with the larger alien. Mireille shot it at point-blank range. "Thanks," Mireille gasped. "Friends protect friends," Nira replied through her translator. The Dreth were being pushed back. Not defeated, but slowed. Human reinforcements arrived. Japanese tanks. American helicopter gunships. They hit the Dreth from multiple angles. In orbit, War Master Kraith watched the battle reports with growing anger. His shock troops, the elite soldiers of the Dreth Imperium, were struggling against primitives. It was embarrassing. It was infuriating. "Recall ground forces," he ordered. "Prepare orbital bombardment." His officers hesitated. "War Master, our troops are still on the surface. They have failed. If we cannot reclaim the Kalmesh, we will destroy them, and this world will learn the price of defiance." Ring stayed. End quote. The Dreth warships moved into bombardment position. Their weapons charged, ready to rain fire from space. On the ground, Jihun didn't know about the orbital bombardment yet. He only knew they were winning the ground battle. The Dreth were retreating to their carriers. Soldiers cheered. "Hold your positions," Heejin ordered. "Stay alert." Then the radio chatter changed. Panic in the voices. "Orbital bombardment. Incoming. All units. Take cover. Impact in 60 seconds. Jihun looked up. He saw the trails. Dozens of projectiles falling from space. They looked like shooting stars. Beautiful. And deadly. "Everyone into the bunker. Now!" he shouted. Soldiers ran. The Kalmesh ran. They poured into the underground facility. The blast doors began to close. Private Sora helped an injured Kalmesh child inside. A piece of shrapnel was embedded in her shoulder, but she ignored it. The first bombardment struck 2 kilometers away. The explosion was like a nuclear blast. The shockwave knocked everyone off their feet. Then, another hit. And another. The ground shook continuously. Inside the bunker, people held each other. Human and Kalmesh together. The lights flickered. Dust fell from the ceiling. Children cried. Some adults cried too. Jihun held his radio, listening to the reports. Entire military positions were being destroyed. The city nearby was evacuating. Millions of people fleeing. The bombardment was systematic, precise, cruel. "They're going to kill everyone," Sora said quietly. Elder Vorin placed a hand on her shoulder. His four-fingered hand was gentle. "Your people fight bravely, more bravely than any species I have seen. The Dreth expect fear. You give them defiance." "It's not enough," Jihun said bitterly. "We can't fight orbital bombardment." But even as he said it, he knew humans would try. They always did. Somewhere, people were planning. Scientists were calculating. Soldiers were preparing. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. And humanity had just learned how brutal it would be. Above the bunker, the bombardment continued. But the bunker held. The refugees were still safe. Still protected. That was something. That was everything. General Doyun stood in the command center, watching screens filled with devastation. The orbital bombardment had destroyed military bases across Korea. Entire sections of cities were gone. Casualty reports kept climbing. 10,000 dead. 20,000. More. "Sir, We have multiple nations requesting we surrender the refugees. An officer reported. They say the cost is too high. Do-yun's jaw tightened. What do the refugees say? Elder Vorin offered to turn themselves in. Said they won't let more humans die for them. Denied. We don't negotiate with slavers. Do-yun turned to his staff. Get me all available scientists. We need options. In a bunker outside Seoul, Dr. Mireille worked with scientists Jiwon and Nira. They had been analyzing Dreth technology for 3 days straight. No sleep, barely any food. Just coffee and desperation. The shields, Jiwon said, pointing to screens of data. They operate on a specific frequency. Look at this resonance pattern. Mireille studied the numbers. Her eyes widened. If we could match that frequency and invert it, we could disrupt the shields entirely. With what? Jiwon asked. We don't have weapons that can generate that kind of precise energy signature. Nira clicked thoughtfully. She had learned some human gestures. Your satellites. Communication satellites. They have broadcast capability. Precise frequency control. You want to turn our communication satellites into weapons? Mireille asked. Not weapons. Shield disruptors. Lower their defenses. Jiwon pulled up satellite data. We have 43 satellites in position around Earth. If we reprogram them, coordinate their broadcasts, focus on the Dreth fleet. He did quick calculations. It could work, but someone would need to be in orbit to manually calibrate the targeting. The lag time from ground control would be too long. That's a suicide mission, Mireille said quietly. The Dreth would shoot down anyone who tried. Not if we had fighter cover, Nira suggested. The plan went up the chain of command. It reached General Do-yun within the hour. He read it twice. It was insane. It might work. It required someone to die in orbit. But it was the only option they had. Prepare the mission, Do-yun ordered. Find me a pilot. Major Heejin volunteered immediately. Ji-hoon tried to stop her. You can't go, he said. You're needed here. You command the ground forces. You can command them, Heijin replied. She was packing gear into a shuttle that had been hastily modified. You've done well, Ji-hoon. Better than me, honestly. That's not true. Heijin stopped and looked at him. Really looked at him. I'm scared, Ji-hoon. I've been scared since this started. But I'm also a soldier. This is what soldiers do. We stand between danger and those who can't fight. That's the job. Nira approached, carrying her own equipment. I go too. Nira, no, Mireille protested. She had come to say goodbye to Heijin. You don't have to do this. I know the systems, Nira said. I calibrate faster. Better chance of success. Also, she touched Mireille's hand with one of her 4 hands. It was a Kalmesh gesture of friendship. I brought danger to your world. I must help fix it. It's not your fault, Mireille said, tears in her eyes. It is everyone's fault. And everyone's responsibility. Commander Yuna was assigned to lead the fighter escort. She had survived the first battle. Barely. Her plane was different now. Each time she landed, they patched the holes and sent her back up. She was tired. So tired. But she kept flying. I'll get you there, Yuna promised Heijin and Nira. I swear it. The shuttle launched at dawn. 20 fighters went with it. They climbed through the atmosphere, leaving the blue sky behind for the black of space. Ji-hoon watched from the ground through telescopes. He saw the shuttle rise. Saw the fighters form a protective shell around it. Saw the Dreth ships turn toward them. Good luck, he whispered. The space battle was chaos. Dreth interceptors swarmed the human fighters. Yuna dove and weaved, her missiles flying. Keep them off the shuttle, she ordered. Whatever it takes. Fighters exploded around her. Good pilots, friends. They died to buy seconds. The shuttle pushed forward, engines straining. Inside the shuttle, Heijin piloted while Nira worked on the satellite connection systems. Plasma bolts flashed past the cockpit windows. The shuttle shook from near misses. Almost there, Hagen said through gritted teeth. A Dreth interceptor broke through the fighter screen. It lined up on the shuttle. Fired. Yuna saw it happen. She didn't think. She simply acted. Her fighter threw itself into the path. The plasma bolt hit her plane instead of the shuttle. Her controls died instantly. Eject, Yuna. Hagen screamed over the radio. Complete the mission, Yuna replied. Her fighter was tumbling, burning. Make it count. She didn't eject. Instead, she aimed her dying plane at the Dreth interceptor. Rammed it at full speed. Both craft exploded. Hagen felt tears on her face. She had no time to mourn. The shuttle reached the coordinate point. Nira began the calibration sequence. Her 4 hands flying across controls. Satellites responding, Nira reported. Locking frequencies. Need 2 minutes. 2 minutes in a battle was forever. More Dreth ships approached. The remaining human fighters threw themselves at the enemy with renewed fury. They were buying time with their lives. On Earth, inside the bunker, the Kalmesh were gathered around Elder Vorin. He had activated their last functional piece of technology, a distress beacon. It was charging, drawing power from makeshift generators. How long until the beacon is ready? Jihun asked. 6 hours, Vorin said. Then it will call our people, our allied fleets. They will come. 6 hours. We need to survive 6 more hours. A young Kalmesh child named Rin tugged on Jihun's uniform. She had been drawing pictures. She showed him the latest one. Humans and Kalmesh, standing together under a sky full of stars. Not running, not hiding. Standing together. This is what I see, Rin said through a translator. This is what we become. Jihun took the picture carefully. It was just a child's drawing, but it meant everything. He pinned it to the command board, where everyone could see it. In orbit, Nira finished the calibration. Ready, she announced. All satellites, fire, Hagen transmitted to Earth Command. Around the planet, 43 communications satellites adjusted their broadcast arrays. They focused on the Dreth fleet. Energy beams, invisible but powerful, struck the alien shields. The shields flickered, wavered, collapsed. Shields down, General Doyun shouted. All forces, engage now. Every weapon Earth had launched. Missiles from submarines. Railgun rounds from ground installations. Even old ballistic missiles from the Cold War era. All of it converged on the now vulnerable Dreth fleet. 2 warships exploded immediately. A third was crippled, burning and drifting. The fleet broke formation, trying to restore their shields, but the satellites kept broadcasting. Nira had locked the frequency perfectly. As long as she maintained the calibration, the shields wouldn't work. A Dreth cruiser targeted the shuttle. Hagen saw the weapons charging. She knew. It was over. Jihun, she said into the radio. Take care of them. All of them. Hagen, eject, please. Can't. Need to keep the shuttle in position for Nira's calibration. It's okay. The cruiser fired. The blast struck the shuttle's engine section. It exploded. Hagen died instantly, but Nira was in a different section. The impact threw her module free, spinning in space. She kept working, hands still on the controls, maintaining the satellite network. Her module had life support for minutes, maybe less. Complete mission, Nira transmitted. For Hagen. For humans. For everyone. She kept the calibration active even as her oxygen ran low, even as her vision blurred. She held on for 5 more minutes. 5 minutes that let Earth's weapons tear apart another Dreth warship. Then her hands went still. On Earth, the Dreth fleet was devastated. 4 ships destroyed. 3 crippled. Only 5 remained fully functional. But those 5 moved into position over Korea. War Master Kraith's voice transmitted, cold, furious. You have cost me half my fleet. For 37 slaves, your world will pay. I will come down there myself. I will personally execute every human and Kalmesh I find. His command ship, the largest of the remaining vessels, began descending through the atmosphere. It was coming for the bunker. Jihoon looked at the picture Rin had drawn. At the humans and Kalmesh standing together. He looked at his soldiers, exhausted and wounded, but still ready. He looked at the Kalmesh refugees, no longer cowering but standing tall. 6 hours, he said. We need to hold for 6 more hours. And then we make sure Heejin and Nira, and everyone who died, didn't die for nothing. How do we stop a warship? Private Sora asked. Elder Vorin stepped forward. We lure it close. Then, we use your planet's oldest weapons. General Doyun understood immediately. Underground railgun installations. We have them hidden throughout the region. Cold War relics. If we can get the ship low enough, close enough. It's a trap, Jihoon said. Yes, Doyun agreed. And we're the bait. War Master Kraith descended in his command ship like a falling mountain. The massive vessel blocked out the sun as it lowered toward the bunker. Its weapons were charged and ready. He would kill them all personally. Humans and Kalmesh, together. Arrogant primitives. Kraith growled to his bridge crew. They think they can defy the Dreth Imperium. I will teach them the price. On the ground, Jihoon stood with his soldiers at the bunker entrance. They weren't hiding anymore. They stood in the open, visible and defiant. It looked like madness. It was bait. Remember the plan, Jihoon said calmly. Hold until the signal, then run. Private Sora checked her weapon one more time. She was scared but steady. If this doesn't work, then we die standing. That's more than the Dreth will get. Inside the bunker, Dr. Mirai sat with the Kalmesh children. She told them stories to keep them calm. Stories about brave people. About hope. Little Rin held her hand tightly. Will we be okay? Rin asked. Yes, Mirai lied. Then she reconsidered. Actually, I don't know. But I know we're trying. That has to count for something. Elder Vorin worked with General Doyun in the command center. They were coordinating the trap. Underground railgun installations positioned in a circle around the area, each one loaded with tungsten rods weighing several tons. Projectiles that could punch through anything if they hit. The ship needs to be below 3,000 meters. Doyun said. Any higher, and the projectiles lose effectiveness. How do we lure it that low? Vorin asked. We give Kraith what he wants. A target he can't resist. I was not rected. We reading the rected. A target he can't resist. Above them, the command ship continued descending. Kraith watched the humans standing below, like insects. He smiled. This would be satisfying. Then new contacts appeared on his sensors. Aircraft, approaching. A lot of them. Fighter jets, from 6 different nations. They swarmed his ship, firing missiles. Pilot Seojun was young. This was his first combat mission. His hands shook as he guided his fighter toward the massive alien vessel. But he remembered Commander Yuna. How she had sacrificed herself. He wouldn't waste that sacrifice. All units, focus fire on the bridge section, the squadron leader ordered. Hundreds of missiles struck the command ship's shields. The shields held. But Kraith's attention was drawn upward. He adjusted his ship's altitude to better target the annoying aircraft. Perfect, General Doyun whispered, watching the ship's descent. Little bit more. 2. Kraith's ship lowered to 2,500 meters, focusing on swatting the fighters from the sky. Several exploded. Sojun's plane was hit. He ejected at the last second, parachuting down while his fighter crashed. Now, Doyun shouted. 6 underground installations fired simultaneously. Massive tungsten rods launched at hypersonic speeds. The projectiles were so fast, they seemed to appear from nowhere. 3 rods missed. 2 hit the shields and were deflected. But the 6th rod struck at the perfect angle. It punched through the weakened shields like paper and tore into the ship's hull. Kraith's command ship shuddered. Alarms blared. Damage to main power core. An officer reported. Impossible, Kraith roared. They're primitives. Another volley fired. This time, 4 rods hit. The ship's shields collapsed entirely. The hull cracked open. Atmosphere vented into the sky. Crash positions, Kraith ordered. He wasn't afraid. He was angry. The command ship came down hard, smashing into the forest 2 kilometers from the bunker. Trees exploded. The ground shook like an earthquake. When the dust cleared, the massive vessel lay broken and burning. But Kraith emerged from the wreckage. He wore powered armor that made him 4 meters tall. His armor had weapons built into it. He could still fight. He would still kill. Come out, humans, Kraith transmitted. Face me. Ji-hoon looked at his soldiers. They had fought so hard. Lost so much. Now it came down to this. 1 alien warrior against whatever they had left. I'll go, Ji-hoon said. Not alone, Private Sora said. She stood beside him. Elder Vorin emerged from the bunker, carrying a damaged but functional energy weapon. And not without Kalmesh. More soldiers joined them. International troops who had fought together. Kalmesh adults who refused to hide. Even Dr. Mireille, armed with a rifle she barely knew how to use. They walked toward Kraith together. The War Master laughed when he saw them. You send children and scientists? The Dreth Imperium has conquered 100 worlds. What can you possibly do? We can try, Ji-hoon said. They opened fire. Bullets and energy blasts struck Kraith's armor. Most bounced off. He returned fire with devastating plasma weapons. Soldiers dove for cover. One didn't make it. Then, another. Kraith advanced like a machine. Unstoppable. Is this humanity's best? Pathetic. Seojun landed nearby, his parachute tangled in trees. He saw the battle. Saw Kraith cutting through the defenders. He still had his sidearm. Just a pistol. Useless against that armor. But Dr. Mireille ran toward him. The armor, she shouted. It has a power coupling on the back. Kalmesh design. If you disrupt it, the whole system fails. How do I get behind him? Seojun asked. We distract him. Mireille ran back into the open, firing her rifle wildly. Kraith turned toward her. Ji-hoon and Vorin fired from the other side. Kraith spun, confused for a moment about which target to eliminate first. Seojun ran. He circled wide, using the broken ship for cover. His heart hammered. This was insane. He was a pilot, not infantry. But here he was. Kraith grabbed Private Sora by the arm, lifting her off the ground. You will watch your world burn. Elder Vorin shot Kraith's arm with his energy weapon. The armor cracked. Kraith dropped Sora and backhanded the old Kalmesh. Vorin flew backward, hitting the ground hard. You betray the Imperium, Kraith said. You ally with humans. You deserve death. Better death with honor than life as slave, Vorin gasped. Seojun reached the coupling. It was exactly where Mireille said it would be. A small panel, glowing with energy. He raised his pistol. The shot had to be perfect. One chance. He fired. The bullet struck the coupling dead center. Electricity arced across Kraith's armor. The power systems failed. The armor locked up, freezing in place. Kraith roared in fury. He couldn't move. The armor had become his prison. Ji-hoon approached carefully. It's over, Kraith. You think you've won? My fleet still orbits your world. They will glass this planet. Look up, Vorin said, pointing to the sky. Kraith looked. New ships were emerging from faster-than-light jumps. Dozens of them. Sleek vessels with the markings of the Kalmesh Confederation. Their allied fleet had arrived, responding to the distress beacon. They were advanced, powerful. They made the remaining Dreth ships look like toys. The Kalmesh Confederation thanks Earth for protecting our people. A transmission came through. Dreth forces, you are surrounded. Surrender or be destroyed. The remaining 5 Dreth warships tried to flee. They didn't make it. The Kalmesh fleet disabled them within minutes. War Master Kreth watched his entire invasion force captured or destroyed. You, humans, Kraith said bitterly. You fought a superior force for refugees, for aliens. Why? Because it was right, Jihun said simply. Over the following days, Earth began to heal. The bombardment damage was extensive, but rebuilding started immediately. The captured Dreth were taken by the Kalmesh fleet for trial. War Master Kraith would face justice for his crimes. The Kalmesh refugees were offered sanctuary. The Confederation wanted to take them home, but many chose to stay on Earth. This world had protected them. Many humans had died for them. They wanted to honor that sacrifice. A memorial was built at the bunker site. It listed every name: human and Kalmesh, soldier and civilian, everyone who had fought, everyone who had fallen. Commander Yuna's name was there, Major Hejin's, Nira's. Ambassador Taiwan gave a speech at the memorial's dedication. World leaders attended, Kalmesh dignitaries, regular people who had lived through the battle. We were tested, Taiwan said, not by our enemies, but by our principles. Do we protect only our own? Do we stand only when it's convenient? Earth answered those questions. We protect those who need protection. We stand when it matters most. That is what makes us human. Jihun was promoted to captain. He didn't feel like he deserved it. So many had done more. So many had given everything. He visited the memorial often. Private Sora came with him sometimes. She had recovered from her injuries. She was training to be an officer now. The war had changed her, made her stronger. Do you think they'll come back? Sora asked one day. The Dreth or others like them? Maybe, Jihun said. Probably. Then we'll fight again. Together, a voice said. Elder Vorin approached, moving slowly. The battle had taken a toll on his aging body, but his spirit was strong. Kalmesh and humans, partners now. Friends. The Kalmesh had begun integrating into Earth society. It wasn't always easy. Different cultures, different biology. But they tried. Both species tried. Little Rin attended a human school now. She still drew pictures. Her latest showed Earth from space, protected by both human and Kalmesh ships. A world where 2 species stood together. Dr. Mireille worked with Kalmesh scientists. They were sharing technology, medicine, culture. The exchange was making both species stronger. One evening, Jihun stood at the memorial as the sun set. He thought about everyone they'd lost, about the choice Earth had made, about what it cost, and what they gained. Was it worth it? Seojun asked. The young pilot had become friends with Jihun after the battle. Jihun thought about that, about the lives lost, the destruction, the pain. Then he thought about the Kalmesh children laughing in human schools, about 2 species learning from each other, about standing for something that mattered. Yes, Jihun said. Above them, in orbit, human and Kalmesh ships patrolled together. Earth's first line of defense. A mixed fleet protecting a world that had proven something important. They had proven that humanity doesn't just survive. They protect, they stand, they endure, and when others need them, no matter who those others are, humans fight. That was humanity. That was Earth. Unbroken and unafraid. Standing between refugees and danger. Between the weak and the strong. Between fear and hope. And they would stand that way forever.